In an upscale restaurant, a homeless teen named Alex faces mockery and discrimination while applying for his first job. His dreams seem crushed until an unexpected hero steps in. Keanu Reeves witnesses the scene unfold. What happens next transforms not just Alex's life but everyone involved. This true story of kindness, determination, and second chances proves that sometimes help comes from the most surprising places, changing lives forever. Alex had a normal life. His small bedroom walls displayed honor roll certificates, and his mom's pancakes filled their modest apartment with warmth every Sunday morning. His dad's corny jokes at dinner made him roll his eyes, but secretly smile. That was before the rainy night when a drunk driver changed everything. The insurance money lasted 3 months. Alex watched helplessly as bill after bill piled up, each one taking a bite out of their dwindling savings. Their landlord's sympathetic looks turned cold when the rent came up short. At 17, Alex found himself standing outside the downtown youth shelter, clutching a backpack containing his entire life. Despite everything, Alex kept going to Roosevelt High School. He washed his clothes in the shelter's laundry room at midnight when no one was watching. The library became his sanctuary, a quiet place to study and escape the harsh reality of shelter life. His grades never slipped. If anything, they got better. School counselors offered concerned glances but didn't know the full story. Alex made sure of that. Each morning started at 5 a.m. Alex developed a routine, washing up in the shelter bathroom before anyone else woke up, pressing his only dress shirt with the shelter's communal iron, and making sure his second-hand shoes shone. The other teens called him Professor, some with respect, others with mockery. But Alex didn't care. He remembered his mom's words. Education is the one thing nobody can take from you. The shelter's strict curfew meant careful planning. Alex mapped out every free food pantry in walking distance. He learned which coffee shops would let him sit for hours with one small coffee, using their Wi-Fi to complete homework. The public library's security guard, Mr. Thompson, sometimes slipped him granola bars, pretending to find them left behind on the tables. The interview at Giovanni's restaurant wasn't just another job application. It represented everything Alex had been working toward, a chance to rebuild, to save money for a small apartment, to prove that circumstances don't define destiny. As he ironed his shirt that morning, Alex noticed his hands weren't shaking anymore. 6 months of hardship had replaced his fear with determination. The morning sun cast long shadows across downtown Los Angeles as Alex made his way toward Giovanni's restaurant. His footsteps echoed against empty sidewalks while delivery trucks rumbled past, setting up for another busy day. He'd memorized every word of the restaurant's website, studied their menu, and even researched their head chef's background. The library's computers had been his gateway to preparation, each evening spent after homework, perfecting his knowledge. 3 weeks ago, Alex had walked past Giovanni's windows, watching servers in crisp black uniforms glide between tables. The "now hiring" sign caught his eye, but it was the starting salary listed in small print that made his heart race. 1 month's pay could get him a room in a shared apartment. 3 months could mean a security deposit and some furniture. 6 months of work, and he might even afford a used laptop for school. At the shelter, Alex had turned the communal bathroom into his practice stage. Late at night, he stood before the mirrors with water-spotted surfaces, rehearsing answers to interview questions. His voice bounced off tile walls as he practiced maintaining eye contact with his reflection. A torn magazine page about interview tips became his Bible, creased and worn from constant reading. Some of the other shelter teens found his dedication amusing. They lounged in the common room, scrolling through phones and telling Alex he was wasting his time. Nobody would hire a homeless kid, they said. Why bother with fancy restaurants when fast food joints were always hiring? But their words rolled off Alex's back. He remembered his father's voice. The only real failure is not trying at all. Miss Penny, the shelter counselor, noticed his efforts. She'd slipped him a gift one evening, a travel-size bottle of cologne she'd gotten as a free sample. The small gesture meant everything. This morning, Alex had carefully rationed 2 precious sprays, hoping to mask any trace of shelter life that might cling to his clothes. In his backpack, alongside textbooks and his life's possessions, Alex carried a folder protected by a plastic sleeve. Inside were copies of his school transcript showing his 3.8 GPA, a glowing letter from his English teacher, and his food handler certification, earned through a free online course at the library. He'd even written a resume, turning his lack of work experience into a story of academic achievement and volunteer work at the shelter's kitchen. The walk to Giovanni's took 45 minutes, but Alex had left 2 hours early. He couldn't risk being late. Each step brought him closer to possibility, each block another minute to mentally review his preparation. He'd even researched the restaurant's owner, Mr. Romano, learning about his start as a dishwasher 30 years ago. If anyone could understand working up from nothing, surely it would be him. The morning air carried the scent of fresh bread from nearby bakeries. Alex's stomach growled. He'd skipped breakfast to save his last few dollars for bus fare home. But hunger was an old friend by now, one that would have to wait. He patted his folder one last time, feeling the hard-earned papers inside. Today wasn't about what he lacked. Today was about what he could offer: determination, dedication, and the willingness to work harder than anyone else. Giovanni's restaurant stood before Alex, its pristine windows reflecting the morning sunlight. Crystal chandeliers sparkled inside, catching the golden rays. The brass handles on the heavy wooden doors gleamed like new coins. Alex's heart thundered in his chest as he reached for the door, his reflection distorting in the polished surface. Inside, the air smelled of fresh-baked bread and expensive coffee. The hostess station stood empty, but voices drifted from a section near the bar where other applicants gathered. They wore pressed suits and designer shoes. One girl's handbag probably cost more than everything Alex owned. Their quiet conversations stopped as he approached, replaced by whispers and sidelong glances. A tall woman in a black blazer emerged from the back office, clipboard in hand. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floors as she surveyed the applicants. Her gaze swept over Alex, then snapped back, eyebrows lifting slightly. She checked her clipboard, lips pursing. The name tag on her blazer read Maria, assistant manager. The other applicants formed a neat line. Alex took his place at the end, trying to stand straight despite his backpack's weight. The girl in front of him shifted away slightly, her nose wrinkling. Alex's cheeks burned, but he held his ground. He'd earned his place in this line just like everyone else. Maria began checking applications, her red pen making swift marks. When she reached Alex, her smile turned brittle. She pointed out that Giovanni's was an upscale establishment with certain standards. Her voice carried just enough for the others to hear, suggesting that perhaps he'd be more comfortable applying somewhere more suitable to his situation. Alex's hands trembled as he pulled out his folder. The plastic sleeve crinkled as he extracted his carefully prepared resume, transcript, and certificates. His voice stayed steady as he explained his qualifications, just as he'd practiced. But Maria's expression remained fixed, her eyes already moving to the next applicant. The kitchen doors swung open. A man in an expensive suit emerged, Mr. Romano himself, owner of Giovanni's. He walked with the confidence of someone who'd built something from nothing. Alex's hope flickered back to life. But as Mr. Romano approached, Maria stepped forward, speaking in low tones while glancing back at Alex. Mr. Romano's face hardened. He walked over, his Italian leather shoes silent on the polished floor. The other applicants watched with barely concealed interest as he stopped in front of Alex. The restaurant owner's eyes took in every detail: the worn dress shirt, the carefully polished but obviously second-hand shoes, the backpack that held Alex's entire life. Alex's spine straightened. He'd prepared for this moment through countless sleepless nights. His grades proved his work ethic. His certification showed his initiative. The shelter's kitchen supervisor had even written about his volunteer work. He opened his mouth to explain, but Mr. Romano raised his hand. The restaurant owner's words cut through the air like ice. This was an exclusive establishment. Their clientele expected a certain image. While he appreciated Alex's interest, perhaps he should try the fast food places downtown. The dismissal was polite but firm, wrapped in corporate terms that did nothing to soften the blow. The other applicants smirked. One boy in an expensive suit coughed to hide his laugh. Maria was already turning away, her clipboard raised to shield her face from the uncomfortable scene. Alex's carefully prepared folder hung limply in his hands, his dreams crumbling like dried leaves. But something inside Alex refused to break. 6 months of shelter life had taught him that dignity wasn't about where you slept or what you wore. His parents hadn't raised him to quit. His voice remained steady as he asked for just 5 minutes to prove himself. He held out his folder again, determination burning in his eyes. The front door chimed. Morning sunlight spilled across the hardwood floors as a new figure entered the restaurant. The other applicant's whispers died. Maria's clipboard lowered slowly. Mr. Romano turned, irritation morphing into surprise. And there, standing in the doorway with quiet presence, was Keanu Reeves. Time seemed to freeze in Giovanni's restaurant. Keanu Reeves stood quietly in the doorway, dressed in simple black jeans and a jacket. His presence filled the space without demanding attention, a skill he'd mastered over decades in Hollywood. The morning sun caught the silver in his beard as his eyes took in the scene before him. Mr. Romano's demeanor transformed instantly. Gone was the stern restaurant owner, replaced by an eager host welcoming a celebrity guest. He stepped toward Keanu, hand extended, explaining they weren't technically open yet. They were conducting interviews, he added, as if apologizing for the crowd in his restaurant. Keanu's attention, however, had settled on Alex. The worn backpack, the carefully pressed shirt, the folder gripped tightly in trembling hands. He observed it all with quiet understanding. He'd arrived early for a breakfast meeting, but something in Alex's stance spoke of a familiar struggle. The actor moved forward, gently declining Mr. Romano's offer to clear the restaurant. The other applicants whispered among themselves, phones appearing to capture subtle photos. But Keanu paid them no attention. He approached Alex, his movements unhurried. The young man's shoulders straightened, though his eyes revealed a mix of recognition and uncertainty. Keanu noticed the slight tremor in Alex's hands, the proud tilt of his chin despite everything. Keanu asked about the folder Alex held. His voice carried neither pity nor condescension, just genuine interest. The restaurant fell silent as Alex explained his preparation, his voice growing stronger with each word. He spoke about his grades, his food handler certification, his volunteer work at the shelter. The words tumbled out, powered by months of determination and practice. The actor listened intently, nodding at key points. His eyes never left Alex's face, even as Mr. Romano shifted uncomfortably nearby. When Alex finished speaking, Keanu reached for the folder, handling the plastic-sleeved documents with respect. Each page told a story of perseverance, perfect attendance despite homelessness, honor roll grades despite tragedy, volunteer work despite personal hardship. Then Keanu began to speak. He told the room about his own early days in Hollywood, sleeping on friends' couches, stretching every dollar. He spoke about his sister's battle with leukemia, about understanding how quickly life could change. His voice remained gentle but carried an undercurrent of steel as he addressed Mr. Romano directly. The restaurant owner's face flushed as Keanu questioned what certain standards truly meant. The actor's words painted a picture of his own first job, a busboy at 16, given a chance by someone who saw past appearances. He spoke about talent hiding in unexpected places, about opportunities that could transform lives. Maria clutched her clipboard tighter as Keanu turned to her, asking if she'd actually read Alex's qualifications. The other applicant's superior smirks faded as the actor emphasized the strength it took to pursue opportunities while facing homelessness. His own successful career, he noted, began with people who judged character over circumstances. As Keanu spoke, Alex stood straighter. The shame that had colored his cheeks earlier transformed into dignity. The actor's words weren't just about him anymore. They addressed every person who'd ever faced judgment based on their circumstances rather than their capabilities. Mr. Romano's transformation was subtle but unmistakable. The celebrity's presence had initially excited him, but Keanu's words had touched something deeper. Perhaps he remembered his own humble beginnings, the struggles that preceded his success. His eyes moved between Alex's worn shoes and the young man's unwavering gaze. Keanu placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, sharing a story about a homeless man who'd become one of Hollywood's most reliable crew members after someone took a chance on him. The actor's voice carried conviction born of experience. He'd seen firsthand how opportunities could break cycles of hardship. The other applicants shifted uncomfortably. Their designer clothes and polished resumes suddenly seemed less significant against Alex's raw determination. The girl who'd wrinkled her nose earlier stared at her expensive handbag, her expression troubled. As Keanu concluded, he turned to Mr. Romano with a simple question. He asked if Giovanni's wanted employees who'd been handed everything, or someone who'd demonstrate the same dedication he'd shown in building this restaurant from nothing. The parallel hung in the air, impossible to ignore. The morning sun had climbed higher, sending shafts of light through the restaurant's windows. They illuminated Alex's folder in Keanu's hands, a testament to perseverance in the face of adversity. The actor's presence had transformed more than just the immediate situation. He'd held up a mirror, revealing prejudices and assumptions that had no place in someone's journey toward a better life. Mr. Romano guided Alex and Keanu to a quiet corner table, the morning light casting gentle shadows across the white tablecloth. The restaurant owner's earlier dismissiveness had transformed into attentiveness. He studied Alex's resume again, this time actually reading the carefully crafted words. His fingers traced over the shelter supervisor's recommendation letter, pausing at the words, exceptional work ethic, and natural leadership abilities. Alex sat with his back straight, exactly as he'd practiced in the shelter bathroom. His voice remained steady as he explained his experience helping in the shelter's kitchen. He described organizing meal prep for 50 people, maintaining inventory lists, and ensuring health standards were met. Each point demonstrated his understanding of restaurant operations, even if learned in unconventional circumstances. Keanu remained a quiet presence at the table, observing the interaction. His subtle nods encouraged Alex to share more about his academic achievements. The young man's perfect attendance record despite homelessness spoke volumes about his determination. His advanced placement in mathematics revealed analytical skills valuable for inventory and scheduling. Mr. Romano's questions shifted from skeptical to genuinely curious. He inquired about Alex's long-term goals, listening intently as the young man outlined his plans. Alex explained how the job would help him secure stable housing, continue his education, and eventually pursue business courses at community college. His answers revealed careful thought and planning, not desperate need. The restaurant's morning prep staff began arriving, their curious glances taking in the scene. Alex used the kitchen noise as an opportunity to demonstrate his awareness of restaurant dynamics. He spoke about workflow efficiency, drawing parallels between managing the shelter's kitchen during peak meal times and handling restaurant rush hours. Maria, still clutching her clipboard, stood nearby taking notes. Her earlier disdain had melted into professional interest as Alex detailed his experience with inventory systems. The food handler certification he'd earned through free online courses proved his initiative. His understanding of health codes and safety protocols matched their professional requirements. Mr. Romano shared a glance with Keanu, who'd been silently witnessing Alex's composure and capability. The actor's presence had opened the door, but Alex's preparation and professionalism were earning his own opportunity. The young man's answers revealed someone who'd faced hardship without letting it define him. The interview shifted into practical scenarios. Mr. Romano described challenging customer situations, nodding with approval at Alex's thoughtful responses. Each answer demonstrated emotional intelligence and problem-solving skills shaped by navigating life's harsh realities. His solution for handling a dissatisfied customer showed both empathy and professional boundaries. Light now filled the restaurant completely, the morning sun highlighting the subtle changes in the room's dynamics. The other applicants had long since departed, their designer outfits and practiced answers forgotten in the wake of authentic determination. Alex's worn dress shirt now seemed less a mark of poverty and more a badge of perseverance. Mr. Romano leaned back, his expression thoughtful as Alex finished explaining his availability and scheduling flexibility. The young man's willingness to work any shift, holiday, or weekend reflected his understanding of the industry's demands. His commitment to education showed balanced priorities and time management skills. Throughout the interview, Alex maintained the dignity that had caught Keanu's attention. He didn't ask for sympathy or special consideration. His responses focused on what he could offer rather than what he needed. The folder of documents before him represented not just qualifications, but a refusal to let circumstances dictate his future. The restaurant owner closed his notes, exchanging another look with Keanu. The actor's small smile reflected what had become clear to everyone present. Alex's preparation hadn't just been about memorizing answers or presenting certificates. He'd transformed his hardships into strengths, his challenges into capabilities. The interview had revealed not just a potential employee, but someone whose determination could inspire an entire staff. Mr. Romano rose from the interview table with newfound purpose in his movements. His restaurant had always prided itself on excellence, but today had taught him that excellence wore many faces. He extended his hand to Alex, not with the reluctant pity of earlier but with genuine respect. The job offer came with immediate start date, full benefits, and a salary that surpassed the posted range. Keanu watched the scene unfold, satisfaction quietly settling across his features. His own breakfast meeting forgotten, he reached into his jacket and withdrew a business card. He pressed it into Alex's trembling hands, explaining that his foundation helped young people in difficult circumstances. The card promised more than just financial assistance. It offered mentorship, guidance, and a support system. Maria approached the table, her clipboard now tucked under her arm. The transformation in her demeanor was complete as she outlined the training schedule. Her words carried enthusiasm about showing Alex the restaurant's operations, a far cry from her earlier dismissiveness. She mentioned other young staff members who could help him learn the systems, already envisioning him as part of the team. The morning prep staff had paused their work, watching through the kitchen doors. Word had spread quickly about the homeless teen who'd impressed Keanu Reeves. Their curious glances held respect now, seeing someone whose determination had earned this chance. One of the line cooks emerged with a fresh pastry for Alex, a small gesture marking his acceptance into their world. Mr. Romano expanded the offer beyond just employment. He spoke of flexible scheduling to accommodate Alex's classes, mentioning connections with local community colleges. The restaurant owner shared his own story more fully now, of arriving in America with nothing but dreams and determination. In Alex, he recognized that same burning desire to build a better life. The morning sun now filled Giovanni's completely, transforming the elegant space with warm light. Alex stood in this glow, his worn backpack no longer a mark of shame but a testament to resilience. Keanu's presence had opened a door, but Alex's own merit had earned him this moment. His carefully maintained folder of qualifications now rested on the table like a bridge between his past struggles and future possibilities. The moment expanded beyond just a job offer. Mr. Romano spoke of creating a program for other young people facing similar circumstances. Maria was already drafting plans for partnerships with local shelters. The restaurant's prestigious reputation could set an example for other businesses, showing that talent and determination deserved recognition regardless of circumstances. Alex's hands steadied as he signed the employment papers. Each signature represented not just acceptance of a job, but stepping stones toward stability. The shelter would no longer be his only home. His dreams of education and independence were transforming from distant hopes into achievable goals. The weight of his backpack felt lighter somehow, as if sharing his burden with these unexpected allies had eased his load. 6 months transformed Giovanni's restaurant in ways no one could have predicted. Alex's presence had sparked a quiet revolution in the kitchen. His register station became known for the warmest welcomes, his dedication inspiring other staff members to elevate their own performance. Regular customers began requesting his section, drawn to the genuine care he brought to every interaction. Through Keanu's foundation, Alex secured a small studio apartment 3 blocks from the restaurant. The space wasn't large, but the key in his pocket represented freedom. Each night, he returned to clean sheets and quiet walls. His backpack finally retired to a closet. His first paycheck had gone toward a proper uniform. His second helped build an emergency fund. By the third, he'd started saving for college. Mr. Romano's promise of flexible scheduling allowed Alex to maintain his stellar grades. The restaurant's break room often found him studying between shifts, textbooks spread across tables where co-workers would stop to offer encouragement or help with flashcards. His acceptance letter to the local community college's business program arrived with a scholarship, partly funded by a new initiative started by Giovanni's to support promising students facing hardship. The restaurant's hiring practices evolved. Maria developed a partnership with 3 local shelters, creating a pathway program for individuals seeking a fresh start. The kitchen staff now included 2 other young people from similar backgrounds, their success stories echoing Alex's. Mr. Romano's reputation in the restaurant community influenced other establishments to look beyond appearances when hiring. Keanu kept his word, checking in regularly through video calls. His foundation provided not just financial support but connections to mentors in business and education. The actor's quiet intervention had multiplied, touching lives far beyond that morning's chance encounter. Other celebrities dining at Giovanni's heard the story, spreading the message that opportunity could transform lives. Alex's shelter counselor, Miss Penny, became a frequent dinner guest at Giovanni's, proud to see her former resident thriving. The cologne bottle she'd given him sat on his apartment shelf, a reminder of small kindnesses that bridged difficult times. She now referred other shelter residents to the restaurant's training program, building more bridges between capability and opportunity. The backpack that once held all his possessions became a symbol. Alex kept it visible in his apartment, using it to carry books to his college classes. Each time he passed the spot where he'd stood that morning, straightening his shirt in the restaurant window, he remembered how a moment of kindness had changed everything. His story traveled through the restaurant industry, inspiring other establishments to see potential in unexpected places, proving that sometimes the most valuable qualities couldn't be measured by appearances alone. 1 year after that morning, Alex stood in Giovanni's restaurant wearing a manager's blazer, his name tag gleaming under crystal chandeliers. The morning sun streamed through the same windows where he'd once straightened his threadbare shirt. Today, he watched another young person clutching a worn backpack approach the entrance, hope and fear battling in their eyes. The restaurant had changed, yet remained the same. White tablecloths still caught the morning light, but now they witnessed different stories. The prestigious address had become known for more than its excellent cuisine. It had become a beacon of second chances. Mr. Romano often shared that the restaurant's reputation had grown stronger, not despite but because of their commitment to seeing potential in unexpected places. Keanu's visit had long since become part of restaurant lore, but his impact continued. The Foundation's mentorship program had expanded, connecting struggling youth with opportunities across the city. The actor himself occasionally dropped by, sitting quietly at the corner table where possibility had once transformed into reality. Alex's original backpack hung in a place of honor near the host station, a reminder to judge character, not circumstances. Each morning, as he unlocked the restaurant's doors, he remembered standing outside, trembling with hope. Now he opened those doors for others, knowing that sometimes the greatest achievements grew from moments of kindness, when someone looked past appearances to see the determination burning within. That morning had taught them all that success wasn't just about talent or opportunity. It was about the courage to keep reaching forward when the world pulled back, and the wisdom to extend a helping hand to those still finding their way.